So originally this was going to be done yesterday, but life happened, so I'm a little bit late at this, so sorry about that. Um, and I want to start off by saying that I actually liked how unpredictable this episode wound up being to me. I know there's always going to be someone out there who says, oh, I totally knew that would happen, or oh, it wasn't unpredictable at all, but I'm not one of those people, so this is how it is. When Alicia got back to camp, she was, obviously pissed off and surprised that she got as many votes as she did because she thought that everyone was voting for Darnell last round, and they split the votes 3-3, which I still figure was because of an idol. I said that in my last video on this. And, I can't really blame her for feeling how she felt, and she did correct herself to say that she wanted to work with them down the line, which, again, you can't really blame her for, and if you're in that position, you kind of have to do something like that. At the beauty camp, when Ty found the idol, I was a little surprised that, one, he went right back to searching for it. Pretty much it looked like as soon as he could again, which I question a little bit because being caught looking for the idol once it's hard to sort of repair something like that, but I feel like Ty is the kind of person that he could bounce back from it, and that even as we saw this episode, it looked like he was starting to, but if you get caught looking for it twice, and twice in the first, 5 days? Was it 4 days? Then that's something that is has got to be really, really hard to get back from, and I don't know how he would have done it. Now, as for the idol being in a box and there being an actual key for it that he had to get to use, I might be alone in this, and this could come from me having to turn away to get the phone when this part of the episode happened. But my first thought was, couldn't he just use a rock on the edges of the box, or hit it against something, or try and break it open in some way, shape, or form, instead of trying to climb that giant ass tree to get the key. Now, I'm going to assume that he either probably tried it and got told no, or that he asked and got told no, or that the note he had very specifically said, if you try and open this with anything other than the key, you can't use it. So, I'm going to have to assume that they had already thought ahead in that aspect. But I don't know. If they didn't, and if he can or could, then I don't know why he would have climbed up there. But that's just something that came to my mind. The Brains tribe, I'm still kind of mad about. I keep forgetting Peter's even there, which I know sounds bad or sounds weird, but he didn't really feel like he had any sort of real presence or airtime, or he wasn't even really addressed much this episode. I mean, I think the main three people on the Brains tribe that got airtime were probably Debbie, Joe, and Liz. I think because Joe and Liz were getting into a bit of a fight, and Debbie was being Debbie. There was a bit of Neil there, but it wasn't it wasn't the same amount. On the going back to the Braun tribe, it was a little bit surprising to me, but at the same time not, that Alicia kept going at it to get the fire while everyone was sleeping. It sort of seems to be a bit of a story she's having so far, and even though it's still early, I see bits and pieces of what could shape up to be something like that, where the guys underestimate her, and where everyone thinks that she's lazy or useless or bad, and she turns out to be smarter and better than people give her credit for. And this isn't some sort of oh, rah, girl beats the man thing. This is just sort of what's coming across is just a general underestimated thing. I mean, it's been done with It's been done with guys, been done with girls, been done with old people, been done with young people, done with... Hell, it's even been done with people of different, like, races or sexualities, depending on what season you're looking at to a certain extent. So yeah, it's sort of... This isn't like a sort of storyline we haven't had before. And I hope I'm not just overthinking this, but I'm hoping she sticks around for a long time from it. The reward and immunity challenge, I liked it. I always feel like I have to address these a bit, even though I don't necessarily go into a challenge and think, oh, this is something I have to cover for a long amount of time. I mean, if I think a challenge is bad or if I think it's bullshit, I'll probably spend a lot more time on it than if it's a challenge that I think is good or alright. Because if it's good or alright, then there's not really much that I can say about it unless someone took like the log to the side of the head, or unless someone half killed themselves. I mean, the only real notable thing I can think of about it is that every time Peter launched the ball, he pretty much just dropped himself off the back of the platform, which is pretty much the only thing I remember him doing this entire episode. And I know there's probably a bunch more stuff he did that I'm missing that other people could point out to me and say, no, he did that, or he was there for this, but just right now in my mind, that's just the only thing that's sticking out. So, Braun lost again, and I was kind of expecting the Brains tribe to lose with how it was going. I figured that with a lot of the earlier episode stuff, with some of the younger people talking about Joe and Debbie, to Joe and Liz fighting with each other and stuff like that, I thought, okay, the Brains are probably going to lose. Braun's going to use the whole "we have fire now" thing as some sort of comeback to get a win, and the vote's going to go down to between Joe and Debbie, and the young people are probably going to split it with Joe and Debbie voting for Liz or something like that. And I know in already saying that I'm sounding crazy, or like someone who thinks he knows exactly what he's talking about, when fuck, I don't work for the production team or the editing team. I've just seen enough of it to have some idea of how, or not even so much to have some idea, just to know what's happened a lot in the past. So yeah, I was glad when they won, and part of that is because I want to see Joe stick around a bit more. Not necessarily Debbie or Liz, but Joe, I think, has gotten off on the wrong foot and could actually turn things around for him if he gets to a swap a little later. So right when they went back to the Braun tribe, I thought it was going to be pretty obvious that... Fuck, sorry, I hit the mic. I thought it was going to be a little obvious that Alicia was going to be voted out, and that everything that was going on was just going to try and get us to question that, or to doubt that, or to think, oh, maybe there's a chance she'll stay. But, give me a second, sorry. And I wasn't sure when Jennifer brought up the whole idea of getting the Girls Alliance to take out Jason, not Scott. I don't know why I got them mixed up, other than that they're aligned with each other. When Jen brought up the idea of getting Sydney and Alicia together to vote out Jason, I wasn't so sure it would happen. I feel like I didn't think it would actually go that way, but I didn't think it would lead to Jen going. I figured what would happen would be that she and Sydney would talk about it. They'd say, okay, we don't really want to do this, and they would just settle for it and vote out Alicia, and she'd be gone, I think, 4-1, and that would pretty much be the end of it. I did not expect Jen to just absolutely go batshit crazy at Tribal. I was not seeing that one coming. I mean, I don't know if that like bug that crawled out of her ear was just like a hatched egg, and there's a bunch of fucking brain parasites crawling around just controlling her and making it so she can't think, and they're like, fuck, we don't know how the human body works. And just making her spout all sorts of shit. I don't know what was going through her mind. I mean, I know there was supposedly an interview she did where she said there was a lot more that happened, but from what I gathered, a lot more of those were about like injuries she got and things, and I don't usually read those anyway, so I don't know everything that was brought up in it. But I mean, and Jason had a point, and I know people can say that he's kind of a dick, and let's be honest, he sort of is. But if you've got the idea that you might turn against your alliance, and it's just when you're about to vote, you don't just go say to your alliance, hey, I'm going to turn on you guys, and then expect them not to want to vote you out, especially if one of those people is the person that you threw under the bus to say, let's vote him out. So, I don't know why she would have expected that she could have swayed Jason to not vote for her, because I know if I was in Jason's position and someone was saying, was flat out saying, yeah, we talked about voting you out at Tribal, and I was supposed to be in alliance with them, and they were like legitimately doing that, I would have set questions. I would be unsure of how trustworthy that person is, and I think most people would be. But the way Alicia actually handled the whole thing was really, really good, though. I like that she was able to turn Jen's words and her frankly fuck-ups completely on their head against her, because a lot of what Jen said she really shouldn't have said, but there were still some things that she probably could have turned around, or that she probably could have recovered from. And it did seem like, at least Scott voted with her, whether that was just because he wanted her to stay, because he thought she would stay, or because he knew she was going and that he just wanted to make her feel better on the way out. But there were still some things that she could have come back from. But as it went on, and she literally jumped up and stood on the damn log there, or her seat, or whatever the hell they are, and was just pleading with everyone, or just spouting down about how, hey, stick to the original alliance we had, stick to this, and all of that. I know she was desperate, but it made her come across more as crazy than trying to show her loyalty, and there was very little that she did there that was trying to do that, because if she was trying... See, I don't know how to even put it right now. It's just, all of what she was doing was just a giant mess. And it kind of pissed me off, truthfully, because I wanted to like Jen, and I think the first episode I did. I mean, I know when I went into this, I thought, oh yeah, maybe if Jason goes, that would be good. And truthfully, out of what I thought were the two boot options, I would have preferred Jason, because I really do think people are still now, or even especially now, shitting on Alicia way more than they should. I mean, she fucking made fire when no one else was trying to. She pulled herself out of this hole herself, and she hasn't really done anything nearly as bad as people are saying. So, Jason going would have been ideal, but holy shit, she just it's just so mind-boggling that it's like making it hard to talk about it, because it just, like, the Survivor fan in me actually like just the TV fan in me loves that it happened, because it was so out there, and it was so what the fuck, and it was so who even does that. But looking at it as someone who's like, as sort of like a people person, or like a trying to see what was smart or what it wasn't, or looking at it rationally. It just, it it hurts the brain to try and see what rationality she had for doing that. Unless there was something that was said before where it was already called out before she mentioned that there had been a bunch of plans thrown around. If Alicia or Sydney, or both, mentioned something about there being a ton of plans, then I can kind of see her saying that. But even in that case, I don't know why she wouldn't just deny it entirely. But it is what it is, and even though she got sent home and it completely fucked up one of my predictions, I can't be too upset about it. So I don't know what'll be in store next week. I actually missed the next time preview. I mean, I caught like the first 3 seconds of it, but I forget what that was about just from that. So next week is pretty much an entire mystery to me. Hopefully it pans out, and hopefully it's just as good as this one was. I'm actually liking this cast more than I did last episode, because I know at the premiere I didn't really feel anything for a lot of them, and I remember saying that. But as this has gone on, I feel like I can see it sort of starting to grow on me a bit more. There's still a couple of people that I don't really have an opinion of or don't really know, and there's still people that I don't really like that I can see people liking, but there's always room for change for that. If by the merge there's people I haven't felt anything on, then it probably won't. But other than that, I'm optimistic about this season. I don't think it'll be... I mean, it's not going to be as bad as Karamone was. It's probably not going to be as bad as Worlds Apart or One World was, so I'm thankful for that at least.